Hi, this is Club Fed, True Stories on Club Fed Sean. This is Monday, August 16th, 2021. You bring a little federal prison news today. Got a new setup here. I got a microphone, right? But check it out. It's not even plugged in, guys. I plugged it in the laptop. It doesn't do shit. Nothing happens. So I don't know. I went online. It's from China or something. Can't even find it online, but it looks good, looks the part, right? So you gotta excuse my cheesy set here. But anyways, back to the news. Um, so inmates, have been asking me about these earned time credits, this First Step Act. How can I get time off my sentence? There's this First Step Act, and if you've been watching this channel and other federal prison channels, the First Step Act says you can take these programs and get time off. And what it is you can get home confinement time or halfway house time up to a year. And it's supposed to be for every 30 days of earned time credits that you accumulate, you can get 10 days off for home confinement or halfway house. And then one of the rules says you can get 15 days if you're an ideal inmate, not breaking any rules. So I'm going to show you a little tweet from Walt Pavlo. He's the guy who helped me out in the early days when I was on federal pretrial. Now Walt's moved on. He had a lot of videos out. Now he's teaching criminology courses. He's on MSNBC. He's here's an article he tweeted from Forbes. And it says U.S. Department clashes with inmates over credits to shave prison time. We're going to read a little bit about this article. Bear with me here. So here's how it went. So in Washington, this is from Washington, August 10th. This is on from Reuters, however you want to say it. That's the news. Reuters is a news publicist. We'll call it that. News agency. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, the U.S. Justice Department asked a judge on Tuesday to deny a bid by 4 low-level federal inmates to qualify for early release under a new criminal justice reform law that allows shortened prison terms through recidivism reduction program. So 4 inmates got denied their earned time credits. So let's find out why. In the U.S. District Court in Oregon, federal prosecutors said no program or activity the inmates took part in qualify for earned time credits. And this is Oregon. They're like liberal. You would think, that's the ninth. What do you call it? The ninth district of the court. That's supposed to be very liberal, and they're still not getting time off. The inmate's public defender and some lawmakers have said the Bureau of Prisons criteria are too strict, and I've heard this. The RIF could increase pressure on the Justice Department, which is under fire from civil rights advocates for its inaction to prevent BOP from sending thousands of federal inmates back to prison once the pandemic emergency is lifted. See, now they're talking about sending people back to prison. Bunch of people got sent home on the CARES Act and, compassionate release, and, from the pandemic and stuff. And now that it's kind of ending, they want to send them back to prison. And there's another story that Walt Pavlo tweeted about that, and I'll do that in the next video. That issue is a provision from the 2018 First Step Act, which aims to ease harsh sentencing for non-violent offenders and reduce recidivism. The BOP may award 10 or 15 days credit for every 30 days of participation in recidivism reduction or activities such as academic classes or certain prison jobs. Here's the 10 or the 15 days. And nobody knows which. And nobody knows which programs. And I'm going to go over a list of all the supposedly approved programs that the BOP has listed. I'll do that right after this article. And it's all a crock of shit. Guys, bottom line, if you're trying to get out early and you're counting on this First Step Act to give you any time off early, it's not going to happen, man. I don't explain why really, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but nobody's getting. I haven't met one person who's got any time credits, served, or it went home early because of this. Now, the First Step Act did let people. So you're supposed to get 15% of your sentence in good time, right? So it comes out to 54 days a year. But what they were doing was giving us 47 days a year, and they still owed us the extra 7 days. So when the First Step Act kicked in, they had to recalculate everybody's time. The guy that was there for 10 years would get 70 extra free days to go home early. In my case, I got about a month off early. So let's go on here to say, uh, in a January 2020 proposal, the BOP defined a day of participation as 8 hours and limited the menu of qualifying programs. So the question is, for every day of classes or programs you take, every 30 days you get 10 days off. Well, what's a day? Is it a 1 hour class? Is it a 4 hour class? Well, here it is. BOP says it's an 8 hour class. So for every 8 hours, you need, let's say you do 3 8-hour shifts. That's 24 hours. You'll get 1 day off. Or every 240 hours, you'll get 10 days off. 480 hours of program, you'll get 20 days off. The math speaks for itself. Here it says, federal defenders wrote in a January 2021 letter to BOP, it would take 219 weeks or over 4 years to earn a full year of credit under the BOP proposed rule. And that's providing you're going to a class every single day, weekends and everything included, right? And that's 4 years. And that's that's 8 hours a day of classes. And it doesn't happen like that. And these classes just they're not offered. I'm going to go over this list here in a second. And most of this stuff is just not offered in the prisons. It says in Tuesday's case, lead plaintiff Adrian Cazares is serving a 71 sentence for cocaine importation. He has held prison jobs such as a painter and an HVAC worker, and completed courses such as anger management, entrepreneurship, and a residential drug abuse program. That's the RDAP. None of these are on the BOP's approved list, prosecutors said. If HVAC doesn't qualify, what kind of jobs do? Asked Magistrate Judge John Acosta, noting the program's goal of reducing recidivism and facilitating re-entry into society. The ones that are identified by the Bureau of Prisons, Federal Prosecutor Jared Hager replied, noting the inmates have not shown entitlement to any credit. The list of qualifying programs and activities will be updated by Attorney General Merrick Garland, he added. So even the judge, the magistrate, he's saying what the hell's going on, HVAC doesn't count? The guy's trying to learn a trade, so he can get out, become a productive member of society. These are educational programs, vocational schools, trade schools. And he said even the residential, the RDAP program doesn't count. Well, I kind of knew that because they already give you a year off for that, or up to a year off for that. So they're not going to double. They're not going to give you double. But here, I'm going to show you guys. Here is the list. The first step. Here's everything to read about the First Step Act. I'm going to pin this underneath the video if you want to read all about it. Programs. I'm just going to go over some of these programs because it's long. But here's what they got. I'll read the programs and we'll tell you a little bit about each one. So apparently they're called Evidence-Based Recidivism Reduction, EBRR programs. They've got anger management. They've got assert yourself for female offenders, basic cognitive skills, brave, Bureau literacy program, challenge program, cognitive processing therapy, criminal thinking, dialectical behavior therapy, emotional self-regulation, federal prison industries, female integrated treatment, foundation, illness management and recovery, life connections program, mental health step-down program, national parenting from prison program, non-residential drug abuse program, occupational education program, Post-secondary education, residential drug abuse program, RDAP, resolve program, seeking safety, skills program, social skills training, uh, stages program, threshold program. Let's just go over a few of these. Here's anger management. And I'm not going to read the descriptions of all these, but you can. I'll put them on there. But it says this is 18 hours of EBRR program credits. So it's 18 hours of credits. That's not even going to get you a day and a half off early. Available at all BOP institutions. They did have anger man. I went to Florence, Colorado. It's a prison camp in southern Colorado. We did have anger management, and I did take it. So we did. It says that it's available at all BOP institutions. Now, I know that most of these programs are not available, especially right now. Half these programs are closed down. Here's one called Assert Yourself for female offenders, and it is 8 hours. Oh boy, 8 hours, and it has all the locations, and it's for females. So, Alderson, Dublin, SeaTac, Phoenix. It has a bunch. It's like at least 20 on there. But oh boy, 8 hours. You need so that's one day. So every 3 days is going to give you one day off. So that's 8 hours is a third of the day off. Got basic cognitive skills. I think they have this at Florence. It says available at all BOP institutions. This is 24 hours of program credits. 24 hours. So that's going to give you 8 hours. That's going to entitle you to 1 day earned time credit. And you guys, you can only get up to a year. So your goal is to get 365 days of earned time credit. That's the most you can get. So, for every 24 hours, you're only going to get one. So 365 times, 3 years, and that's going every single day. You're way over 1,000 hours. So the next one is Brave Residential. It's the Bureau Rehabilitation and Values Enhancement Program. And it's 500 hours. And it's only at 2 locations, FCI Beckley, which is a medium, and FCC Victorville, which is a medium. 500 hours is something. That's something. You know what I mean? But here's the deal. Look at 500 hours. So 24 hours, you get 1 day off. 240 hours, you get 10 days off. Let's double that. 480 hours, you get 20 days off. So you do a 500-hour program, which is usually at least 6 months. You get 20 days off. I mean, oh fucking boy. 20 days off is 20 days off. I get it, especially when you're behind there. But so do the math. You do a 500-hour program, you get 20 days off. You're trying to get 365 days off. The most you can get is a year. Do the math, man. That's a lot of 500 courses. Get a calculator out, guys. You're there. You're doing the time anyways. There's the Bureau Literacy Program. It's 240 hours, so that's 10 days off. It says available at all BOP institutions. I don't know if we had this. Oh, this is a GED and all that stuff. Yeah. We had that. That's basically your GED and stuff. Challenge Program. It's a cognitive behavioral residential treatment program. Oh, residential treatment program. I know we didn't have this at Florence. It's 500 hours of EBRR program credit. Oh, it's only at USPs. Allenwood, Cannon, McCreary, Atwater, Coleman 1 and 2, USP Pollock, Beaumont, Hazleton, Terre Haute, Big Sandy, Lee, and Tucson. Now, here's the thing. You got to be a non-violent criminal to get these. Most people in USP they're pretty violent people, man. So they're not going to get shit. I heard about this is the USP's version of RDAP. They get something off, some kind of time. Maybe they get lower, they lose their custody level points go down, and maybe they can get moved to a medium if they finish this. Maybe that's what it is. There's cognitive processing therapy, 18 hours. It says available at all BOP locations. I think we have that at Florence. Criminal thinking. We did have that at Florence. It says available everywhere. 27 hours of credits. There's dialectical behavior therapy. Available at all BOP. Don't remember that one. 104 hours. I don't remember that one, though. We had cognitive thinking. Maybe that's the same. Regulated self. Regulation self. Emotional self-regulation. 24 hours. Available everywhere. It says, don't remember that one. Federal prison industries. So we didn't have that. We didn't have that. But that's Unicore and all that. Factories, they make furniture. It's the dairy, the farm. A lot of prisons have farms on them and stuff. So it's a working program. This is 500 hours, and the locations are pretty much everywhere. It says. I don't see Florence. I only see FCI's listed. There's a couple camps. Montgomery, one camp. I only see one camp really. FCC, federal. Maybe I don't know if that's Federal Corrections Complex or Federal Corrections Camp. Not too many camps have because they need the campers to work at the prisons. That's another story. But campers do all the work around the big prisons, and so they don't want them working in a factory because then they lose their free labor. Female integrated treatment. 500 hours. It's only 2 locations, ladies. FSL Danbury says that's a low. SFF Hazleton, that's a low. Foundation, that's the name of that program. 15 hours. It's a whole bunch of locations. This one's 25 places. And illness management and recovery, 60 hours. It's a mental health deal. It says available everywhere. Don't remember that at Florence. Life Connections program, residential again. So I don't know. This says it's available at FCC Petersburg, Aliceville, Milan, Carswell, Leavenworth, Terre Haute, and Aliceville. I guess these are all mediums and penitentiaries. So anyways, guys, the list goes on and on. Mental health step down. I think that was the ADX had a step down unit. It's 500 hours. And it's FCC Butner, Fort Worth, Allenwood, Atlanta. So anyways, guys, that's the deal. Here's all these programs. But I'm going to tell you, if you can get lucky enough where you go to prison that they have some of these programs, okay, first of all, one of the other rules is you got to be there. You got to sit through 2 reviews. A review is every 6 months they review you. It's called a team meeting, TEAM. I forget what it means. Treatment, environment, algorithm match, something like that. Anyways, it's where you sit down with your case manager and your unit director and your counselor, and they evaluate you. And the credits don't start getting even talked about until you've had 2 reviews. So you have to have been there at least a year. And they're not going to do it on the second one. It's on your 18th, on your 3rd review is when they sit down and go, okay, you've got 230 earned time credits. That's good for 15 days off. I'll have all this put in your file by your next review in 6 months. But I'm going home in a month. Oh, well, you're not going to, there's no time to get these credits, calculated. Then once you get the credits, put on your file and you get, you're, let's say, approved for this. Now the halfway house has to approve you, or the home confinement, which consists of probation and a halfway house team that's going to go out to your house that you're going to be home confinement at and approve all that, and your ankle bracelet, and the probation officer, and everybody's got to approve that you can go there, and then they got to see if they got an opening, because you're still going to go to the halfway house at least for a weekend to check in before you go to home confinement. You just don't go straight home. So having said all this, and you're going to say, but I got 47 extra days coming. They're all, well, you just screwed us all up. Now we got to resubmit all your paperwork to the halfway house and start again. Because they had you approved for 3 months halfway house time. But you got 47 more extra free days that you want to add to it. Well, we got to restart the paperwork process all over again. And you remember how fast we were sentencing you on pretrial and, when we first indicted you and all that. So, 6 months, a year from now, maybe you'll get your 47 days. But I'm going home in a month. Well, you see the dilemma, guys? Just forget about it. I'm sorry. Just forget about it. You know what? Take as many classes as you can to enrich your mind, your body, and your soul, but don't do it for any time off. You're just not going to get the time off, guys. I'm sorry, you're not going to get the time off. If you got a 10-year sentence, yeah, I'll bet you by the time you've done 7, 8 years, you'll get that year off and they'll get the paperwork done. On a 10-year sentence, maybe an 8-year sentence, I wouldn't go any higher than a 7-year sentence for this First Step Back be doing you any good, guys. So I'm sorry. Stop calculating and adding and trying to do a first step back this, first step back that. Right now, RDAP's your best bet. You can get up to a year off. You can get 6 months halfway house time. And, there's a Second Chance Act that, if you're poor and you have nowhere to go and you have no money on your books and you have no family, you can get up to a year halfway house time. But you got to prove that. And you can't have people sending money on your books. So you got to live like a poor person, because if you get any money sent on your books, they go, well, you got people. You've got a support group. So the Second Chance Act is, it's for homeless, poor people that have no family or friends. So very few people qualify for it. But you can always ask your case manager for extra halfway house time. That's just the best bet, just try to get more halfway house time. Because this First Step Act, and Biden's sending everybody back. Biden wants to overturn everything Trump's done. So Biden is going to do his best to overturn this First Step Act. And Biden wants everybody back in prison because he thinks they're all Trump's buddies anyway. So he wants them all back in prison. Sorry guys, hate to burst your bubble. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.